Amar Rava. Rava says, Hi Riehatא de Chakloi. This Riehatã of the villagers. A chakal is an orchard or a field. And what it means, chakloi, means the people that live in the fields, which are the villagers, the people not in the city. And what is a Riehatã? Rashi says that Riehatã is what we learned before, chavetz. Chavetz, we said, was flour, oil, and honey. Now, Rav is saying that if you have Riehatã or chavetz, which is made by the villagers, the mafshi beikimcha, that they put in it a lot of flour, mevarich bariminim mezainas. The bracha on it is bariminim mezainas. There's a lot of flour in it. My taima, what's the reason? That's an abbreviation. And the answer is the smida ikar. Smida, the flour, smida means flour, ikar is the primary. Dimechuza, however, if you have Riehatã from Mechuza, Mechuza is the city that Rava actually lived in, the loimaf shebei kimcha, that does not have a lot of flour in it, they probably had more honey in it, mevarich alav shehakol niya bidvari. You say on it a shehakol. My taima, what's the reason? Duv she'ikar. The honey is more important. When we say ikar, we're probably referring to the amount that they put in. Now, this contradicts something that we learned earlier, a statement from Rav and Shmuel, that they said that anything that contains the 5 grains in it, you have to say a bariminim mezainas. Now, Rava then says, V'hadar amar Rava. Rava returned and said, that means like he changed his mind, Idi v'idi bariminim mezainas. Both this and this is a bariminim mezainas. And his reason is, the Rav Shmuel da Amri Tarvaya, because Rav and Shmuel both say, Kol sheyesh by mechameshes aminim, anything that contains in it, sheyesh by, that contains in it the 5 grains, mevarchem alav, we bless on it bariminim mezainas. So therefore, even if it has majority honey, but the fact that it has some flour in it, and that flour is put in for the taste, to make it more filling or for the taste, not just for texture. It's put in for as an ingredient for the substantial ingredient. So therefore, it needs to be a bariminim mezainas. I added that little explanation because of something Taisva said earlier. And also, Shalom mentioned in class that why don't we say that it becomes nullified, like we say with kosher food? And the answer, I believe, is that if it would be to that extent, it really would be nullified. It's just that here you're adding it in as an ingredient. You're obviously adding it in for a purpose so that you should be able to taste it. Nevertheless, even though something else is more significant in size, but the 5 grains never become nullified. Amar Rabbi Yosef, a new Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yosef says, Hai chavitza, this chavitza, which I assume is the same sort of thing that we had before, chavetz. Rashi gives me this French word, shalnaikok, which I'm not sure what it is. I know Taisvus discusses that as well. But it seems that it's some sort of stew that I put bread into it. I crumble bread into it. So the bread is going to get dissolved, possibly, depending on how long you cook it, or etc. We discussed this before, where we said there was a difference if the pieces are whole, and now we're going to discuss it again, but we're going to use different terms. Before it was a brisa, now it's Rabbi Yosef, who is a 3rd generation Amira. So, Hai chavitza, this chavitza, the ispe pirurin kazayas, that there is, there is, be'yanet, pirurim, crumbs, kazayas, like an olive size, bitchila, at the beginning, mevarich alav, you bless on it, hamaitzi lachem minaretz. You say a hamaitzi on it. It has large pieces of bread, the size of an olive, even though it's being cooked, but the bread is still there. Ula b'soif, and at the end, mevarich alav, you bless on it, shalish brachis, a complete benching. Make sure you put a period right there because you don't want to read that together. It stops. You say on it, shalish brachis, 3 blessings, that means benching. we're talking about, it has the size of an olive. The less Bei Pirurim Kazayas. If there is not, the less is the opposite of the is. These are antonyms. This means there is, the less means there's not. The less Bei Pirurim Kazayas, if there are not crumbs the size of an olive, Bitchila, at the beginning, Mevarich Alav, you bless on it, Barimina Mezainis, very small pieces of bread in this, under the size of an olive. Ulabesayfen at the end, Bracha Achas Man Shalish. You only say one bracha, which is like 3, which is an ala mechia. We're going to need to leave the next Gemara for next week.